Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. Cross the line in 3, 2, 1.
Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. My name is Jeff, and alongside me, as always, is the Tasha Steeles to my Kiera Hogan. It's Max, everyone. Max.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm actually okay with that. We were just talking before we started filming how much you like them.
Because they're gold, Max. And
if they end up winning the tag team title, you're gonna go into debt buying all their
probably
gear and merch.
Yeah. Well, I'll be wearing that in 3 months when my Shop Impact other shirts come in. I'm still waiting on. No, I'm saying we're equals because once again we're working as a team. We're preparing for, as you guys know, if you watched the last episode, we did the commercial and released that we're doing a draft that will air in July. We just released tonight that the Total Nonstop Impact guys are joining Wrestle News World and us for a draft that will go into details later in the show. But so the point is, Max, we're equals this episode. I'm going to actually even let you lead when it comes to headlines. So after this break, you'll be...
I appreciate that.
Right? Imagine. It's an Elmo reference if
anybody who listens to us as kids.
Yeah.
Or just happens, or is just a real big fan of Sesame Street.
All day long. I have to listen to this song. All right. So a lot to talk about, but the most important thing, as always, Max, what you watching?
I am currently watching NWA TNA Asylum Years. Watching Ron Killings take on Hermie Sadler. He just finished insulting the entire state of Tennessee. A bunch of NASCAR fans were real angry with him.
Yeah, very racist. It's to the times. The times were different.
Yeah. So can we talk about something? So obviously Hermie Sadler isn't a real wrestler. There's been a couple other people who have stepped in the ring who haven't been real wrestlers and have been...
Never mind, where are you going?
Anywhere from horrible to average. Deangelo Williams, when he wrestled for TNA, you would have thought that he had done that his entire life. Now, granted, he was an NFL running back, so clearly he is on, if you're talking about athletes, he's up there with the people who step in. But Karl Malone was an NBA player, and he didn't look fantastic.
True. But I think this answers the question of, are NASCAR drivers athletes? I don't know, right? Maybe.
Hermie's not looking as bad as some of the people in the crowd would, but I don't think Meltzer's giving him anything higher than maybe a 1.5 star.
There's no, in the match or the audience.
Yeah. Either or.
All the brother cousins.
Yeah, man. There's a couple of people in there. One lady was wearing her NWO shirt, and the person next to her, I don't know if it was her brother, her husband, her cousin, all three. We apologize for anybody who may be listening in the great state of Tennessee. I like the Titans.
Ryan Tannehill. All right, so I'm a Dolphins fan. Oh, that's why I'm an Impact fan. I'm used to getting beat down, liking something no one else does.
So who's the Patriots of wrestling? Is it WWE?
Yeah, for sure. Unfortunately, they're the Yankees and the Patriots. Okay. Actually, was brought to a question that we should do, but I don't know if any of our listeners actually know the NBA, but it was brought that we should maybe do like a who's who of the NBA to Impact. So who is the Michael Jordan? Who's LeBron? Yeah, it'd be interesting. Think about it. But we have a lot to talk about. Obviously, this is primarily going to be brace yourself, a positive episode. A lot of cool things, and hell is frozen over. Impact has a lot of buzz going right now. And we're going to talk about that and amongst all the other stuff that we could fit into this hour format right after this break. So let's go to headlines. All right, so we're going to get into headlines. Max is going to take the lead here. We just watched Ryan Shamrock come down and take money for favors. We don't know yet.
I don't know. She was in the back. She wasn't coming down, and the hot shots just came out.
You'll see that for 2 weeks in a row. She does that, and then there's no explanation. She never comes back again.
I'm pretty sure that's the same thing that happened to her when she was in the WWE. She was Ken Shamrock's sister, and then
she went to WCW. She was the Maestro's Symphony, maybe that was her name, Symphony. Yeah. Anyways,
hey,
all right. So
maybe the same. She's taking money for the same reason, or maybe she's the person who kidnapped Joe. She was taking money. maybe it goes all the way back then, is when all this started.
Waiting for Joe, a young Joe, to come up.
I don't like that guy. In a couple years, kidnap him and don't tell anybody who you are. All right, so let's go to headlines. So, first one is the Slammiversary promo. Who is it?
Who is it?
You wrote these, so I don't have anything more to go on than that.
I did not write these. They are Craig's, our producer. I don't write these anymore.
Craig wrote these.
So they're in English. Huh?
Yeah.
That makes sense. So Slammiversary promo. Who is it? What's funny is last episode we kind of, or you, I'll give you credit there. You took the lead with the ballsiest of guesses, and it seems to maybe be coming true. And I think all the puzzle pieces are coming together. After Elgin talked on the phone, you would assume he's talking to a leader of a Canadian group, which I would imagine is Eric Young. So if those two are separate, and there's been a lot of speculation, if those two Marvel-like end vignettes are separate stories, I'm not sure because originally I thought it's Eric Young. The font, the color scheme, everything was the "Don't Fire Eric" that he used when he did that, and for it to say "You're fired" and that's what he used for "Don't Fire Eric," it just made too much sense. But then obviously EC3 teased it. I really do believe that you were right. I think Luke Gallows and Doc Gallows and Anderson, Machine Gun Anderson, do come. There's so much on Aftershock. Jimmy Jacobs name dropped No Way Jose, Aiden English, a bunch of people, Don Callis as well. Not who I would want to come, but the fact that they're talking about all these possibilities and watch Slammiversary to find out there has to be something bigger than just Eric Young coming back. And no offense to Eric Young. There has to be something bigger, and if it's not, they're doing all this hype, and it feels very Dixie-ish if they don't deliver. So I hope they deliver. I don't know who the damn vignette's about. I don't know if they're all connected. I would say that Eric Young's a guaranteed by now, a guarantee, but I think the possibilities for them to swerve us are endless. I know we're talking about it later in the Quick 7, but the T-shirt thing still gets me. The Paparazzi Productions one makes sense. I think Motor City's coming back. The other two that were released that are really great are Team Canada, and they just made a reference to Team Canada, and the other was Aces and Eights. And Trey just got beat up, and who's in the jack? We'll see. I don't know. I'm hoping it's both of those.
So I pulled up I was trying to find the video while you were talking because I wanted to see kind of the order. So it starts off with Eric Young. Most of the stuff is TNA. So it's got the "You're Fired." It's got Eric Young. It's got according to you, a Bulgarian flag. Right?
It is.
Okay. Then it's got Doc Gallows, Carl Anderson. Then it's got Rockstar Spud, who we know he's not coming because he's staying with, so he's been ruled out. It's got some dude.
But doesn't necessarily mean that he wasn't originally in the plans.
Yeah, that's true.
He wanted to stay with them, offered maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Mike and Maria, EC3. So it's got all those people in there. Now, most of them... It's pretty much all your big players who were released, and obviously the video starts with people. What?
You mentioned Brian Myers is in there as well.
Brian Myers is in there. So, in terms of who it is, I don't think it's going to be all of them, but I definitely think now it'd be really interesting if it was nobody in that group. It was some random other person who got fired, and they're like, "Yeah."
That's my concern too. Yeah.
But I mean, I think Anderson and Gallows works. It would be interesting if they did a series of these, like 3 or 4 of them, with each of them being a different person.
I like that. Yeah.
So I do think that would be really cool.
Because our brain automatically assumes it's a story being told.
Yeah, it's one continuous, or it's multiple vignettes for the same person, similar to how you used to see in wrestling with like Glacier in WCW for like 4 months. But it'd be interesting if each one of these was to a different person. That would be really cool. This one obviously has somebody at the start of it drinking and kind of watching the whole news, you're fired, X amount of wrestlers, blah, blah, blah. And then it kind of leads into everything. So, I mean, maybe this is one dude, maybe it's multiple. Who knows what the lead is. But
so here's one, we have to get your answer. I said Eric Young is a definite. Is that where your mind is too, or are you sticking to your guns of? See, now I think all of them are going, and I'll get to that. But do you think more so than the other? Who is?
I'm going Anderson and Gallows, and I'm going that this person that was sitting here was EC3.
Now, EC3 did do his own version of this, of the continuation of what was going to happen. A lot of people speculated that it was a teaser, and he was saying, I'm done with nostalgia. I'm not going back to Impact. This is me saying, and he said hashtag clickbait. So he was just like saying, that was clickbait. They used my image. I'm not that. I took it, honestly, as he's done with being Dixie Carter's nephew. He's EC3 now.
Maybe.
So I think the interpretation it could be there, and it would make sense that he told you that it was him. He continued it, but we just thought it was because Impact never retweeted it or something, that it wasn't a part. I don't know. I don't know. So you might be right. I really think after you said it last week, and I didn't want to say it out loud because I felt like a mark, to be honest with you, because that just seems like, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but a reach for Impact. That's a big thing. But I'm on that train with you. I really think EC3, Gallows, and Anderson, Mike and Maria, she's the first lady of the Aces and Eights. I think that's the new Aces and Eights.
That would be really cool.
That's what I'm going to throw out there, just because of all the stars aligning.
So you don't think Eric Young leads the Aces and Eights in the battle charge?
No, I think he leads Team Canada.
Oh, okay.
That's the Elgin thing. Like, now that you say it specifically, like, that they're all could be different for people, I think that maybe that one was for someone else. That one could be for, and next week we might get something completely different.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, I'm full of good ideas.
Or they're keeping us all, and we're gonna get Aiden English. You know,
I would be so upset. We'll talk about him later on. So number 2, after we spent way too long on the first one, is Tessa leaving after Slammiversary.
In case I talked over you, people couldn't hear it. He's asking if leave after Slammiversary. So I don't know what to think. Had you asked me before this pandemic, I'd say no. I don't think she is, for a multitude of reasons. I think she likes where she's at. She's a world champion. I think she needs to take a year or two before that, especially in this climate, the allegations that came out, and to have a company that does support her and won't have to re-spark that fire would be Impact. It'd be smart for her to stay. But now that she's missed 2 tapings, which means she's missed 4 months by the time this is all said and done, I believe. And they niched she was going to do, and this is speculation, but according to a source, they was going to happen. Satellite. But that could be also just the storyline changing, and they are doing this 5-way heavyweight main event for her title with her being in it. I think this is the perfect way for her to lose. We talk about it all the time. Just because there's a niche to it. There's multiple people there. She technically doesn't need to get pinned. I think Elgin is the one that wins it, and I think it has something to do with Team Canada. Theory, rather. That's my theory. okay, so I'm looking at this two ways. There's her I think is a guarantee, or she could sneak out and win it. I hope it's a King of the Mountain match. There's too many people in that for not to be. Anyways, I like it, man. It's not as difficult. But if she loses her title, this could be two things. Either yes, she's done, and she's gone. It's kind of a shitty thing for her and for Impact. I think mutually they need each other. But to wrap it up, they're taking off what they did with Sammy, so then they can reinvent her character, and then she comes back as a heel because, once again, especially in this climate, it might be hard for her to be liked. That's my thinking there. I don't know. So I think it's 50-50 and I don't like those odds, but.
So I will say I do like her better as a heel. I think there's just certain people who, when they become faces, they lose something in their character.
C3's one of them, I think.
Yeah, I think, for me at least, I think Jericho is a much better heel than he is face because he plays that. Kevin Owens is a similar thing. I think he's a better heel, but I think her character is a really good heel. As a face, it just seems kind of meh.
Yeah. So maybe that's that. Maybe that's what happens. Do you think she loses the title and dips, or do you think she loses the title?
So I do think she loses the title, and then again, yeah, I think it would be a switch because I understand her wrestling in the men's division. I think it's cool, but at some point it's got to end unless you're just going to have her permanently stay wrestling guys. Because even Awesome Kong wrestled guys, but it didn't stay. It wasn't like.
Yeah, but I think that even though she did, it was to build the character of Awesome Kong compared to with Tessa, where it's saying they're equal. It's a different time. We're in a different time, and they could get back to knockouts, but I don't know.
And I get that. I think it makes more sense for her to go in the knockouts because I've always liked her as a powerhouse type wrestler. And she can't do that with the guys. So I feel like it makes more sense for her to go back with the knockouts because she then can have that powerhouse character. She can switch to a heel. She could
be pissed off and
I think that's the better option for her. And I don't think she leaves. Unfortunately, WWE has a ton of people. Like they have Charlotte on NXT. So they already are kind of running into a situation where there's too much going on for all the people that they want to push, at least in my opinion. So to me, her going to any one of those three, like NXT, SmackDown, or Raw, I think she'd just get buried. It would be one of these things like EC3, where she goes and then just you never see anything.
Well, I think not to get on a side subject, but to add to your point really quick, is that the days of that luster of gold of WWE is the place. It's the people are starting to that there's a chink or what is it called, a dent in the armor or whatever the heck it is.
I think it's a chink in the armor is the actual term.
Racist though? I don't know.
I mean, not if you don't mean it. Not if you're.
Nah, we'll edit that out. So, anyways, is I don't know.
No, and for me, I still think there is a luster of going there because it's the WWE, but I think it's now more of similar to what AJ did, to where you make your name someplace else and then you go there at the end of your career as opposed to going in the beginning, because by that point you're already a big name and they have something to do with you instead of going. But I think there's just too much there for her because she's a star. I don't think she's going to be willing to go someplace and just be a third-class citizen because she gets no stories.
Well, my thing is, I agree with you from her standpoint, but also you got Tony Khan, the prodigal son, announcing Hogan does. I don't think he would follow it up by signing her either.
Possibly. I think if she leaves, that would be the place for her to go. But I just think Impact, she's been such a star in Impact for a decent amount of time. They've put a lot behind her. So I don't think it makes sense for her to leave. It's not, TNA. AEW possibly, I mean, the roster, I think, has room for her to jump in and instantly be a star. So I could possibly see that. With WWE, there's just too many people there that I don't think it would make sense for her. And I don't think she would be willing to go there and then just drop down to a nobody. So to me, right. I think TNA, Impact, whatever, I'm watching TNA. So that's why I said that. But I think that makes the most sense for her at this point, is to stay. So
I agree.
Number 3, we're going to try and make these shorter. Why do you think Booker T has made a U-turn on his feelings about Impact?
Okay. So, yeah, I don't know. I never really put too much thought into it. What he's referring to is, he said that Impact's going to really make a push for it. If they really are signing these people, either way, they're getting hype and buzz about them with whatever they're doing here. Why he would say that, and he's been very critical since he left. There's either two ways of looking at it. One, he's being honest, and he really thinks something big is happening, and is giving them. He's being unbiased. Or two, they have worked with Reality of Wrestling. Is that his thing? His organization. So maybe there's a deal there where they work with them again. I don't know. Maybe it's a study, but either you got to look at it as genuine or not. I prefer to look at it as genuine.
Okay, there's one answer. First off, the Flying Elvises just came out. That's not the answer. The one answer is Booker T looked over the landscape of WWE and realized they're firing people. And he's like, all I really do is commentary or the pre-show on pay-per-views. I'm probably pretty close to that cut line. I better start making friends because I'm going to need some place to go in case they cut me. So if he ends up on the chopping block, he's like, hey, Impact.
Which I'd be fine with, because Black Snow is the second greatest commentator.
So there you go. So I think that to me is the reason. I think you're like, hey, it's.
No, that's fair. That's a good point.
WWE's cutting people. I'm probably pretty low or probably pretty close to that cut line because I'm not. Right. I don't do much. Let me. I don't want to go work for Tony Khan in AEW because that means then I can't come back to WWE ever. Right. So you go to Impact, you don't anger anybody. I think that's why he did it.
I agree with you there. That's a good point. All right, what's up next?
Number 4, is there potential for this Knockouts division to be the best roster? I'm assuming the best Knockouts division ever.
Yeah, that makes sense. We've been talking about it, but we never talked about it. Now that we're preparing for this draft, we've been able to kind of look at the whole spectrum of knockouts over history.
Yeah.
It's hard because I think there's really two. I would say this is one of them. But that real sweet spot when they had the beautiful people, Gail, Awesome Kong, Mickie James, Tara, that's a hard roster. ODB. That's a whole group of women that's hard to put aside for this new one. But the amount of women they have that are all on the same level or above some of those ones we mentioned, it's hard to not say maybe he's onto something. Maybe this is the best Knockouts locker room they've ever had. As a whole, not together or era, but as a whole, like from 1 to 30 or how
top
many
to bottom.
Top to bottom. I don't know.
So I was thinking earlier when when they had Taryn Terrell and Gail Kim, but I was trying to remember who else was there because Madison Rain was there, but I feel like that was 3 top-heavy people, and then it kind of fell off. I mean, they've got a good. I was just looking it over. They've got a real good roster. I mean, you're looking at Jordan Grace, Kiera Hogan, Kylie Ray, Madison Rain, Rosemary, Suzanne, Sue Young are 2 different people, but we'll consider them one for this purpose. Tasha Steele's
Taya Havoc.
Taya Havoc, Tessa. I mean, they've got a lot of really good people on this roster. A lot of people that Dianna, yeah. So I mean, it's hard though, because you see these women wrestling now, and they're in your mind, and you go back and you think about Awesome Kong, Gail Kim, all them, ODB, and you remember the highs, but you don't remember any of the lows. So it's really hard to say how good were they. Were they as good as we thought they were? No,
it's a fair question to bring up.
Yeah.
I don't mean to cut you off, but that's a very fair question. I'm going back and I'm watching the Asylum years. As I mentioned, I'm on 36 now or something like that. But I also like to watch the best of this and the best of that and kind of reminisce whatever that way too, especially since we're preparing for this draft. And yeah, there are lows, and of course those things aren't going to highlight, or especially the compilations aren't going to highlight the negatives. But I have a clear memory of, there was some. I'm not the biggest Taylor Wilde fan. There were some down parts in there. I agree with you there, but the way they were treated were like stars. There was and especially at the time, in comparison to WWE, which were doing divas and butterfly belts and all that, they were getting time to wrestle and were trying to prove a point. These girls are not necessarily trying to prove a point. They have it in the palm of their hands. I think at the end of the day, what's going to decipher the two is what this group of women do with it, and how Impact books them as well. The talent's there. This match possibilities are endless. The Knockouts tag coming back would be genius because WWE's finally realizing they have them again. So they're being very smart about picking the things people don't do well and doing them better than them. And for that reason, I think that this group might end up being collectively the best. There, I said it. Oh, it hurts my heart.
I mean, I think it's definitely a possibility. They've got a lot of stars on here who could. I do. I think it just in depth wise, I think it may end up being deeper. And if they bring back the women's tag team belts, and then you see, and then you see what they do from there, and they actually make that a division, I think it's only going to highlight more people. I'm watching AJ Styles and Jerry Lynn fight, but I think they're also tag team champions. So I'm confused because I have the sound off. They are tag team champions.
Jerry Lynn's the veteran, and AJ is the punk kid who's taking the spotlight from him, even though they're tag champs. Silliness.
Okay.
Really.
That seems like a very early 90s, early 2000s, mid. Yeah. That's just like a pretty standard storyline for wrestling when they don't really have anything better to do.
You know what's funny is I was always been pretty transparent in my love for TNA. I know what's bad. I know what's good. I've always admitted it. But going back and watching them, you see how like there's never a clean finish. Like
When AJ and them won the Jerry Lynn beat the Rainbow Express, AJ does the spiral tap and just kicks him right in the nuts, foot right, like just his leg hits him in the thigh or something. I'm like, I guess that's pinning him.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, all dusty finishes. I'll try to protect each person. So
with that too. Yeah, no, you mean cleaning that? Yeah, well that and then, everybody's. I thought you meant clean as in like actual like.
Yeah.
That's what I thought you meant by clean. I was saying there's a lot of it's sloppy. A lot of the stuff is sloppier.
All right, that's true too. So moving on. Are we last one, fourth one? Where are we at?
5 is, does this push the needle?
There we go. The question we always end up talking about. I know we might have said it afterwards too, but we did say we got this question asked when the Kylie thing happened, and we said no. First of all, I think this buzz as a whole tells you, because it's not just a one-day buzz. It's been 2 weeks now, and people are still talking and sharing, and not just the Impact community. I think it does push the needle forward. I do. And not just speculation. They need to deliver on it. But if this buzz turns into reality, and the reality is just as good or not better than the buzz, then yeah, the needle has been pushed.
I agree. I think it all depends on who they sign. If they don't sign any of these guys, or it's Eric Young and Rusev, and then nobody else, and you're going to be like,
right.
But I mean, if they sign a chunk of them, I think that's going to get people talking. I especially think if they get EC3 because he's been gone for so long. I think it at least gets people interested and thinking that, hey, let me give Impact a shot to see what they're doing now. I mean, especially if you add EC3, if you add Anderson and Gallows, I think those three names, but those two groups of people could push it. And then especially if you get maybe one other big guy, I think it does. I think that's when people are like, oh, it's not just this guy going over there. Because we've seen that before. We've seen Ryback leave, and then he goes to some random thing and nobody cares about it. Or you've seen who was it?
Right. We had what's his name?
Oh yeah, Sandow. Yeah, like he leaves and he goes over there, but and that one person isn't going to move it. But I think if you can get a group in, I think that's enough people to at least make a couple people or a good sized amount of people say, you know what? Let me just tune in and see what they're doing with these guys.
Well, also, and that's a great point, but I think on top of that, when you sign more than one, you're saying, wow, they're grabbing that brass ring, they're going for it.
Yeah.
Which the argument has been, oh, Impact has no money. Well, we just signed all these people during a pandemic. Everyone else is firing people or furloughing people. So let's not, whatever. I think that narrative goes away. So now what else are they going to talk about? Well, they only got this person. Nope, they got 4 of them. You know what I mean? So and one of them or 2 of them were there prior, left, and could get jobs elsewhere, but decided to come back home. So it speaks a lot.
And a lot of those people in that clip, if you think about them, are people that at least the internet wrestling community was at one point really excited about. Rusev, the whole Rusev, people were excited about that. Anderson and Gallows, EC3. So there's a decent group in there that had big buzz around them outside of just Impact fans. That people are like, oh yeah, this person's really good. I really like to see them. So I think that's another thing that does help it if they can get a group of them.
I agree. All right, so Max, that was your first lead. You did pretty well.
I did it.
All right, well, we'll just use that as a...
All right, guys, we are back. Since I did such a good job on the Hot Topics, I am now in charge of the Quick 7. We're going to stick to the time this time, G. So we've got 1 minute on the clock. Topic number 1 is Sunny.
This will be easy keeping it short. I'll be joking a company, one thing, could take it. Been there, done that, used to hearing that. But to be attacking the looks and the talent of somebody is kind of rough. Same with Jim Cornette when he did when he was joking. What's her name? Dana Brooke. Uncalled for, unnecessary. Get the hell out. Her moment of fame should be gone by now.
No, I agree. I mean, I don't know if maybe her book isn't selling or her videos aren't selling, or maybe she didn't get her as much for her MVP Hall of Fame ring as she was trying to this time. Either way, I think she was trying to get, like, I think you said it before, clout. Jordynne Grace is a better wrestler if you cut both her arms and both her legs off than Sunny ever was. And I understand that's not what she was supposed to be, but just being a valet, WWE moved on from her and then never looked back. I think it's going after someone who is better at what they do than what you were. So
He looks desperate.
Yeah. So number 2 is Rockstar Spud.
All right. So Spud stayed. He was in the video package. We already mentioned it. Could he have already been on his? They agreed to, or not agreed, but said he was interested in coming. They thought they had him, and then he got offered that contract. Possible. I don't want to sound like this isn't me. I'm very transparent when it comes to this stuff. This isn't sour grapes. I'm glad he stayed. We talked about this in our normal lives. I'm happy that he did get a contract. That's where he wants to be. Obviously, if you watch that video of him falling, he wanted to be with WWE. It was his dream. He's happy there, and I'm glad for him. I think he fits in 205 Live. Impact, there's only so much you can do. Why pay that money to potentially a sidekick or an X Division guy who isn't really X Division? I don't know. I'm cool with it. Good for him. No hard feelings.
I agree. I think I would have liked to see him back, but I would have liked to see him back with EC3. I think on 205 Live, I think it's a better spot for him. He can be similar to what Enzo did when he left his tag team. He went to 205 Live and shined. He can go to 205 Live. He could carry that show. It could be all about him. With TNA, I think, or Impact, I think his best option is either manager of a star, or they kind of put him as like a middle of the road X Division guy. I think he has a bigger potential in WWE because of 205 Live. So,
that's positive.
Yeah. The third one is Heath Slater.
Okay, so Heath Slater was mentioned, or I don't want to say unfortunately. He was mentioned by Rhino as far as, I don't need a partner. I already have a partner, and he's got kids, and then he smiled, haha, wink, wink. I hope it was just a one-liner to get the laugh there, or say hello to a friend who's just lost his job. I'm not a Heath Slater guy. I don't think he moves the needle. And he's I don't know how old he is, but I don't know what really he can bring. I think he should go to AEW and be Orange Cassidy's brother or something, or uncle. I don't know.
So he's got to leave. He's got to add on about 40 pounds of muscle and then come back and recreate 3MB after everybody's bulked up. He's 36, so, I mean, still got, I'd say, 4 good years in his prime. I don't know. It's a tag team. I wouldn't mind having him. I think he would be a good addition. If Rhino comes in with a tag team and him and Rhino are teamed up, I think they're good. He, similar to when Sandow went there, he's not somebody that I would be super excited about as a singles wrestler. Like, he's solid, but I think he's great to bring in if you need to get somebody new over as kind of like a jobber, as the Brooklyn Brawler. He's great in that role, but as a tag team, I would actually be impressed and happy he was there. Anything else, I don't know.
Well,
I don't really want him.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't want to make it clear. Obviously, it's all for people getting jobs. The thing with, and I like Don Callis mentioning this on Aftershock, he said, we're here giving the opportunity to get over. Yeah, you might make money elsewhere, but here we'll teach you and nurture you and let your ideas come in and to the creative process and get you over. So is it possible that he was held down in WWE and he has all these ideas and he could portray this other character or be awesome in a great hand? Possibly, yeah. There's roles for he could do it, or that he could portray, just like anyone else that was released. But he doesn't excite. So I think that's the way I want to word it.
Yeah. So next one is going to be Aiden English.
He's kind of on the same level for me as far as, what he can or can't do. But I think at a live show, like say Slammiversary, if out of the entryway comes a singing Aiden English and he introduces Rusev, I think if there's people there, the roof would blow off the place.
That's kind of what I was saying. I mean, when he was with Vaudevillains, I couldn't care less about the guy. I mean, it was an interesting gimmick, but oh well. When he became the singing Aiden English with Rusev, I really liked him. And similar thing, if he comes in with Rusev,
Right.
I don't necessarily think he can do his own thing. He can wrestle by himself. He could go after the X division as Rusev goes after heavyweight. But I think those two together with him singing the intro really would. It would be awesome. Outside of that, I don't know. I think him being the mouthpiece of somebody is where his strength is and what makes him interesting to me. And to me, it would really be with Rusev. So if he comes in with Rusev, super excited. If he doesn't, kind of the same thing with
I'm right with you.
Next one is Dianna Perazzo.
Damn, quick 7 for her. Great debut. Here's what I'll take out of it in my short little talking period here. Everything was great. This will be more so a congratulations. Good for her. Happy for her. I think she's a great talent. I'm happier for Impact Management because what it's showing is, like I just mentioned, they can create a star. They can package them, and I saw this online from someone who's actually an NXT person who watched it and said they did more with her in a combined 4 minutes of time she's been in that company than NXT did in 2 years, and I think that sums it up completely.
Yeah, no, I really like her. I'm happy she's there. I like her character. I think we had spoken, might have been last episode or the episode before, or maybe it was just when we were talking, about how when she first was kind of there, she was just the girl with the Ferrari on her. Things,
Yeah.
And she was really forgettable and just kind of like a create a wrestler plop. Here she is. But I mean, I really, like I said, I liked her little character she had on NXT. I like, from what I saw, what she's going to be here. I think she's got potential to be someone who you can put right in to an upper level, at least with everything, and see what you can do. So I really like it. I think they did a good job. And I think focusing her, I think it's good to bring her in earlier and not maybe hold her to Slammiversary, because you give a little bit of time before to set things up with her. Yeah.
She needs more of a build-up than those guys do if they were revealed.
Yeah, well, just in general. So, real quick, before we do the next one, do you think they could do something like that? Do you think they could have maybe 2 guys come out at Slammiversary and then reveal other people, or would you want them all revealed at Slammiversary?
Oof. Depends on how it's done.
Okay.
I would like for it to be sporadic throughout the show, maybe a couple little good ones, and then the main event. Obviously, I think we're getting Team Canada. I would like if it's the Aces and Eights thing, Doc Gallows be the only one, or Machine Gun Anderson, whatever we're gonna do here, one of them though, and then in the tapings afterwards, or in the live shows after. But real quick, I do want to bring this all full circle, and I don't know why I didn't think about when we talked about the locker room. They're bringing in people like Dianna and all this stacked roster. Maybe Tessa becomes expendable at that point, and maybe that's possible. I mean, Tennille hasn't even built any traction yet, but she still has a contract. So there's a lot of players that aren't in the game right now. Rosemary hasn't wrestled a match, and it feels like forever, but is always relevant. So there's a lot of
that's possible.
All right, what's up next?
The second to last one is the women's tags. New teams emerge.
So we talked about in the beginning. We kind of already spoiled that. Tasha Steelz and Kiera Hogan. Like I said, take my money. I think they're awesome. You have Nevaeh and Havoc. They're slowly integrating these tag teams of women, like we mentioned. They're bringing them in, and now they're showcasing them as part of something more. Rosemary and Taya, so I think we're headed there. I'm really stoked about the presentation so far and the teasing. I think Slammiversary, we get to crown the champions. I think that's what happens.
So, I mean, I'm excited about it. I think you had just mentioned the depth of their roster, maybe making Tessa expendable. But I think the depth of the roster is just allows people who weren't doing something to do something. You stick Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz. Boom, tag team. they can get in a tag team feud. They did have Susie and Kylie Ray, boom, tag team. You could take Su Yung and Rosemary, boom, tag. So you can do stuff like that with people who haven't been around, and it allows you to keep people relevant who maybe you're like, they're not main event level, but we want to do something with them. So I think that could be an option where even if you have a big roster, it gives you the option to do things with people as long as you're making realistic and intelligent pairings and not just going, all right, it's going to be pull out of the hat. It's Madison Rayne and Su Yung. Go get them, girls. Like, as long as you're not doing that.
No, yeah, they're doing a great job of putting it together. I know we talked about that last episode as well. They're doing a great job of, like they do with the men, of building that division back and giving someone always something to do. For too long, it's been where if you're not in that title picture or maybe that next feud after, as a woman, you don't get on the show.
Yeah, you're in the back. You're like the Young Bucks walking across the screen.
And that $200, man. But these girls are actually getting an opportunity, because why the hell weren't they?
Yeah.
To not just go away if they're not in the title picture. So now there's a new. I'm just very happy about it. It's a new day, and they're doing a great job as a company.
It is.
The new day, yes, it is.
All right, last one. Speaking of the new day, people who sell a tremendous amount of T-shirts because all their T-shirts are amazing. What do you think of the T-shirts such as Team Canada and Aces and Eights?
Okay, so I already kind of spoiled that. And I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to keep beating my drum until they tell me otherwise. There has to be a reason that they are releasing these things. So I want something to happen. Not only, I don't care about proving me right. I don't care about getting what I want, any of that. I put that aside. The reason I want those things to happen is because now this is showing me, once again, another box checked off. Impact management is pre-planning and planning long-term and doing it right, introducing someone with vignettes and T-shirts and stuff before you get you hyped and then send you out. So I think it's a testament to that more so than do I want the shirts? Yes, I already bought one. I won't say which one. I'll surprise you.
Team Canada?
Nah,
no. I mean, sometimes it's cool for them to just put out old T-shirts.
Right.
But at the same time, like, these are weird T-shirts to put out. Like, if you were putting out, like, old, like, AJ Styles and Kurt Angle and Jeff Hardy T-shirts, because those were big-name sellers, I can be like, oh, let's re-release those.
They're still around. That I don't agree with you there.
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking of from a company standpoint. If you're trying to sell a bunch of T-shirts, you pick the cool brand of, like,
I understand.
T-shirts that you had, not Aces and Eights. It was a cool group, but I don't think they sold a lot of. Maybe they sold the face mask thingies. Team Canada, like, those are pretty specific T-shirts to put out that, to me, don't instantly scream, oh, I want to get that T-shirt. So I do think that there has to be some type of reasoning behind it. If it's to release, bring back the people, or just to make you think about these people, even if Team Canada doesn't come back, if they're like, oh, Eric was a part of Team Canada, let's release this shirt, and then we'll bring it back Eric Young. So
I agree where you're ending up. I don't agree how you got there. So I don't think they would release AJ and them because there's other brands. It looks chintzy if they're trying to, like, oh, okay, they're trying to live up to like what they did. What they would release AJ's collection of compilation because he signed with WWE. That kind of shit. The better analogy is this: if they produce because you got to think viable brands. How many have they created? So if you have like a sports entertainment extreme. Obviously, Vince Russo and them are coming back to do that. But that is so retro that people might dig it, the hardcore fans. Then Aces and Eights and Team Canada, which seems very specific as well. So, they're fresher brands. That's the only reason they're more popular. So if they came back with a Fortune 4 throwback, I don't think they're coming. No one wants them to come, but is that a throwback? Yes. These seem too relevant to things going on. So I don't know.
So let me get this straight. You're telling me if they re-released the AJ Styles shirt, looked like it was painted on, where it's like dripping down, you wouldn't jump out and buy that thing?
No, I'd buy one for Sonny, and I send it to her.
Maybe a Bad Influence shirt? That would be a cool one.
I have mine still.
I think I do too.
Maybe it donated. I don't know.
No, I still have an AJ shirt, and I think my Bad Influence shirt from TNA.
Alfred Lloyd. Oh no, it was afterwards. That was the TNA show. Yeah, not Bound for Glory.
Yeah, that was the TNA show. I don't think I bought anything at Bound for Glory. I don't know. Maybe I did buy I might have bought the AJ shirt at Bound for Glory. Either way.
I digress. Yeah. So I don't know. I think we're in the same boat. We hope it's happening. We think it might be. Time will tell. And that's what's cool about this. Them not having spoilers. Everything feels like a surprise, and they're taking advantage of that. So I like that. But let's. Do you have anything more to add, or do you want to cut to the break and get right into
we will go ahead and cut. Then when we come back, we will talk about the draft.
All right, guys.
Today is the day. Where the past,
aside from the money they've saved, all they've got left to show for what they did is their legacy. I am still the it factor of professional wrestling.
and the present. Become our future.
To live and die in LAX.
These are the stars of Impact Wrestling. We've cheered them. We've idolized them.
Yes, I'm ready. Yes, I'll be there. Yes, this is the Impact Zone. Yes, I am the Stinger. Woo!
But today,
I'm telling all of you, especially the young women out there, that with hard work, a lot of sacrifice, and fighting for what you believe in, that dreams can come true. And I am living proof.
we welcome them. Because today, we build. We build a brand, a roster, a team. 90 men and women will be chosen. Who will go where? Where will you pledge your allegiance? The time has come. Our time is now. TNAIW presents Draft Day 2020.
Back, and I'm back on the lead here. We're going to wrap this up. We've been ranting and raving. No fun games, but looking towards a very fun thing happening for us this weekend, which you guys will see in July. We've teamed up and collaborated with Wrestling News World, as well as the Total Nonstop Impact guys, and we're going to do a draft. What does that mean necessarily? So I'm not going to go too into it. I know I spent today talking to an Indian gentleman about what a draft is. I know I spoke to Craig and taught him in the UK, so I know I'm going to have to give a little details of what that is for us not States people who are used to drafts being holidays here.
For every sport, yeah.
For every sport, nonetheless.
Major League Baseball just had their draft yesterday.
That is one I don't follow. But so this one is going to be very as simple as I can explain it. 30 rounds of us three teams, and no specific order. There'll be a draft order. We'll get into that. And we have 2 minutes on the clock, just like an NFL draft. Not the first round, but the other ones. I get it. know you were about to say that. Were you about to?
No.
Oh, I thought you were ready to crack me. I saw you pounce it. So we will go back and forth this Sunday, and we will draft what we perceive as the best all-star, all-time TNA/Impact roster. The draft pool will put up shortly, right before the draft airs, and you had to do 2 years of service with Impact TNA, and or be it with them now.
Okay.
So yes.
If you want to know what a draft is, Google WWE draft, go to YouTube and watch that. It'll run like that, except there'll be 3 teams, and we'll be picking Impact people, not WWE people.
There you go.
And our rules will be a little bit different than theirs, but that's, if you want to understand what a draft is, go watch that. If you're from a country that isn't the U.S., Canada. Yeah, that's it. North America. I was trying to think if there were any professional teams. I don't think there's any that actually are officially in Mexico. No, we've played some NFL games.
Yeah.
It's just North America and Canada.
So as Max explained, that's what it is. 30 rounds, 3 teams. We all pick it. You're building a brand. Remember, we're building a roster. We're not just picking the best people there. And if you do, or if they do, or we do, you can do whatever you want with it. But we will have at least 4 different analysts as well. We're going to make it a big deal. They're going to grade our drafts and our rosters at the end. It's going to be a big deal in a competition, and we wanted a reason to work with the guys of TNI. And then we just kind of mutually became cool with the Wrestling New World guys, Javon specifically. So we're stoked. It's going to be a good time. It brings camaraderie to the Impact community, and everyone, each show or each site that's participating can do their own video or whatever they want to do on it. So it's going to be really cool and fun. We are the Anthem Mighty Owls. So if you want to support us, that's our team. TNI is the Impact Explosion. And then Javon is the TNA Phoenix. So 3 different brands. Follow who you want. You guys will get to vote on who had the best roster as well. It'll be fun. I think it'll be fun either way. Oh, I do need to mention that the people we are picking are in their TNA Impact primes. What that means is Generation Me is not now the Young Bucks. Sting is not retired Sting. Angle's not Angle. AJ's
he's also not WCW Sting.
There you go. Exactly.
He's
so that
Impact Sting, whichever one you want. So if you want Joker, you get Joker. If you want, when he first came to TNA, that's what you get. So
you only get the years of him being there. It's their prime of TNA. We each get 30 picks. Tag teams are allowed to be picked, which we'll explain during the draft. It's a whole hoopla of stuff, and we've already rambled on about it. But it'll be a good time. You could choose who you want to support, or you could support all 3. We are practicing, and we're going to kill it. We're going to kill it. We hope to kill it. But anyways, it's going to be fun. And make sure you choose a team, share the videos we just put out, and start from there. Start your fandom. There we go.
First overall pick, Crimson. That right there is the anchor of
and this is why we lose, Max.
Well, tune in when we do post that. See if I get my wish to draft Crimson number 1 overall.
If we get the
Crimson followed by the Voodoo Kid Mafia. Sorry, Crimson and then the Johnsons. That right there is my Triforce of power when it comes to old TNA guys.
So I will get our 3rd place trophy all nice shined up. All right, guys. So that's the draft. I know we kind of rambled. There's a lot of details to go, but those are the basic. I think it sounds a little more tedious than it will be, and it's going to be a lot more fun than maybe it sounds. But give the videos a chance, and I hope you join us for it. Be a good time. So, right. Mac, do you have anything else you want to add? You want to just wait?
I was just going to say to everybody, thank you very much for listening. Later, guys.